So welcome to everybody in the name of the International Secretariat for Water and the World Youth Parliament for Water to this session on the theme Global Water Quality Challenge. So before starting, we would like to communicate some rules of good conduct. First of all, don't forget to turn off your microphones if you are not speaking to avoid interfering noises. Also, if the connection becomes unstable, please turn off your camera. To ask questions to the panelists or report a technical problem, use the chat, and you can also use an emoji or raise your hand. And finally, this session has an interpretation option, so in French and English. So we invite you to choose the language channel of your choice, and it will not be necessary to change during the meeting. So we would like to thank Asmik Barseghian, President of the European Youth Parliament for Water, for coordinating this session, and we will start in 1 minute. So Hasmik, you have the floor.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. The European Youth Parliament for Water and Swiss Development and Cooperation Agency have the pleasure to welcome you to this session on the global water quality challenges. Thank you all for joining us. So my name is Asmik Barseghian. I'm joining you from Yerevan, Armenia. I'm the President of the European Youth Parliament for Water, and today I will be the moderator. Before starting the main program, please take a few seconds to answer to the questions of the poll that will appear on your screen in a few seconds. Before you answer to this poll, I would like to send a special thank you to the technical team, to Anne-Catherine Mercouri, Laurie Fourneau, and also Stas Peters, to their exceptional support to the organization of this session. Today, we will talk about global water quality challenges, youth engagement platforms, and share inspiring projects related to water quality. Dear participants, feel free to write your questions in the chat box. And without losing a moment, I give the floor to Andreas Steiner from Swiss Development and Cooperation Agency. So Andreas, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Hasmik, and welcome everyone in this session. So it's my pleasure to be here and to talk to you in the next couple of minutes around the challenges of water quality at the global level, and how our agency, the Swiss Agency for Development and Cooperation, is addressing this challenge with some targeted initiatives. Yep, please, next slide. So let me start with some first facts and figures on the global water pollution crisis. So the pressure on water is rising. We see that all over the world, the water sector faces rapidly growing challenges: population growth, migration, urbanization, industrialization, climate change, or agricultural expansion. They are all placing further pressure on water resources. Emerging pollutants such as microplastics or pharmaceutical residuals present a new global water quality challenge in both the developed and the developing world. This has potentially serious threats to human health and ecosystems. The water crisis is very much also a qualitative crisis, not only a quantitative one. So it is estimated that globally, around 80% of wastewater and solid waste go directly into the environment without treatment. And this number is, or this percentage is expected to be quite higher in developing countries. So it is estimated that we have lost already almost half of our natural wetlands, and with this also a significant number of freshwater species. Next slide, please. So the United Nations Environment Programme, UNEP, came up with an attempt in 2016 to develop an overview, to get an overview of the status of water quality at the global level. And what they found out is that they actually didn't find out so much, but still there were some findings that I would briefly like to present. So overall, they found that water pollution has worsened since the 1990s in almost all rivers in Latin America, Africa, and Asia. We do have quite severe or moderate to severe pollution challenges, namely pathogens, but also organic pollution, as well as salinity, that affect quite significant amounts of river stretches on those continents. And we also expect that the number of people at risk to health by coming into contact with polluted surface water ranges in the tens of millions in these countries, but we don't know exactly the figures. So we see that, for example, this is threatening already the food security from inland fisheries in a number of countries in Africa and Asia. And also in the industrialized world, we see that, you know, emerging and persistent water quality problems remain, with the emerging ones mentioned already before, such as pharmaceuticals or also eutrophication or microplastics. But it's actually, there's also good news, and because we know that the majority of rivers in developing countries are still in quite good condition. So this also provides great opportunities for shortcutting pollution and also restoring those rivers that are already polluted. But of course, this requires a smart mix of management, technical options, and also good water governance. Next slide, please. Then in 2018, the World Bank came up with a very comprehensive report called Quality Unknown, which the title already speaks quite a lot. So it's actually quite an interesting report, because it also looked into, you know, economic impacts and risks around, and also opportunities around water quality. But basically what they found out also is that there is not that much that we know about the quality of our waters at the global scale. So there's a need for better understanding and monitoring of ambient water quality. So recognizing the scope of the problem and identifying the magnitude of the impacts, as well as formulating ways to address these, will be critical to improving public health, preserving ecosystems, and sustaining economic growth throughout this century. So how do we address the water quality challenge at the global level and also in Switzerland? So there are many initiatives, but I would like to briefly mention one, which will be also the topic later during this presentation. It's the World Water Quality Alliance, which is actually the result of a resolution that was adopted in 2017 at the Third United Nations Environment Assembly, where the countries adopted a comprehensive resolution to address water pollution, to protect and restore water-related ecosystems. And it's about, you know, improving data collection, water monitoring, as well as developing new technologies to recycle and reuse wastewater. And this was actually kind of the birth of the idea of the World Water Quality, which was convened by UNEP and the United Nations Environment Programme, and collaborates with more than 50 different organizations to date. But we will hear more about that later on. Next slide, please. So you may also wonder why a country like Switzerland, where water seems to be abundant, is engaged in water quality at the global level. And I would just briefly like to mention four reasons for that. First, because we want to promote a water secure world through the work that we do at the Swiss Agency for Development and Cooperation. So a water secure world in which populations have the capacity to safeguard universal and sustainable access to adequate quantities, but also quality of water for sustaining their livelihoods, human well-being, and socio-economic development, but also for ensuring protection against waterborne pollution and for preserving ecosystems. Secondly, because we are not immune to the global freshwater crisis, to the challenges and risks that this brings. So we do, as a country, we do import quite a lot of products, especially food, but also goods such as textiles, chemicals, or IT, and so on. So they are all water intensive and they contribute to water pollution abroad. But our service-based exports are not. So that means that at the end, we estimate that, or we calculate that about 82% of Switzerland's water footprint happens beyond our borders, actually. And this often in regions where water resources are scarce. Thirdly, because Switzerland, often referred to as the water tower of Europe, tries to be also an exemplar upstream country when it comes to sharing water with neighbors, with neighbor countries. So we invest a lot to deliver good quality, good water quality and quantity to our neighboring countries downstream. And then, yeah, last but not least, because we are committed to the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, and with that, we want to also deliver on that. So let me just, in the next couple of minutes, present a specific program that we have developed at the Global Program Water of SDC. We call it the Water Pollution Program, and it consists of a set of targeted initiatives that aim to address the water quality challenge. Next slide, please. So it's basically, we support 4 multi-stakeholder partnerships and public-private partnerships that I would like to briefly introduce to you in the next couple of minutes. It's a relatively new program. It started in late 2019, so I can't present a lot of results yet, but that is to come. But yeah, what's it all about? So it's basically, we work a lot on what we call the science, policy, and business interface. So it's about understanding the science, and then engaging with policymakers and decision makers, and finally to stimulate action with people and businesses. So we are working to that target populations benefit from improved health, livelihoods, and the environment through minimized risk exposure. And our target populations for the time being for this program are in the Mekong region, in Southeast Asia, in Ethiopia, as well as in India. So it's about also, improving river conservation and ecosystem health through sustainable water quality management and monitoring. And then finally also we want to drive or push, stimulate sustainable production of key polluting industries with which we are working with, such as textile industry, food and beverage, or pharmaceuticals. So next slide, please. The first initiative very briefly, because we will talk about that later on, it's the World Water Quality Alliance, convened by UNEP, collaborating with more than 50 organizations worldwide to date. And it's basically a global expert practitioners and policy network that provides evidence-based water quality assessments at various scales, sets agendas and action on emerging water quality issues, and also explores pathways and examples of scalable solutions and innovation with regards to water quality. So I'm not going to dive deeper into that, but just to highlight two of the work streams that we will present. Hasmik and Joanna will present that later on, the Youth Action for World Water Quality, as well as the Social Engagement Platform, which are all part of this global alliance. Next slide, please. The next project, the second one, is called Small, Medium, Large. Water stewardships with small and medium sized enterprises in the Greater Mekong region. This project aims to support regional development, the regional development objective of creating an economically prosperous, socially equitable and environmentally sound Greater Mekong region, and to work towards maintaining and improving the health of the Mekong River. It promotes a water stewardship approach where we try to involve and stimulate action by SMEs in Myanmar and Vietnam in particular to improve their environmental performance and sustainability. So you can see in the figure that this project leads SMEs and other stakeholders on a journey from water awareness, so knowing what the challenge is with regards to water quality, and then knowledge of the impact that their business has on the environment and on society, planning and implementing internal action within the business to improve business sustainable practices, and then also to stimulate and engage the SMEs in national collective actions, as well as bringing them into regional governance dialogues around water. With neighboring countries. So this project helps those SMEs to change their business practices by mobilizing technological support and access to green financing mechanisms. Next, please. Tackling water pollution in the textile and apparel value chain. The next project, again, textile sector, but we move from Southeast Asia to Africa, namely to Ethiopia. And why is that? Because we want to proactively address the shift of the textile industry from Asia to Africa with regards to, you know, the production hotspots, that this is slowly moving to Africa, as we can observe. So this project aims to support the also environmentally sustainable economic growth and improving livelihoods of small producers through improved water performance by those actors in the textile and apparel value chain, but really those actors at the very beginning of the value chain. So we do that by improving policies and regulation and investment across the Ethiopian cotton and apparel sectors, and by driving leadership with global actors, multinational corporations, and so on, to address water challenges faced by those SMEs that are very far from the headquarters of these brands in the supply chain. So last slide, the last project that I would like to briefly mention is called the Responsible Antibiotics Manufacturing Platform, RAMP. It is about antimicrobial resistance, AMR, and this kills and threatens the lives of millions of people. And it's actually among one of the world's worst health threats that the world needs to address. And it's often referred to as also the silent pandemic. There are many drivers of AMR, but emissions from antibiotics from manufacturing is one of them. So access to antibiotics that are manufactured in a manner that does not release antibiotic substance or active substances into the environment is a key objective in the fight against AMR. And as a collaborative effort of pioneers, this platform was launched in 2020, a year ago, to drive the sustainable transition of this in industry. And the primary focus is on India, where most of the majority of antibiotic manufacturing for the global market is happening. So the objective of this platform is to contribute to the fight against AMR, as I mentioned, by enabling synergies and harmonization between leading public and private stakeholders, and providing strategies for sustainability in antibiotics manufacturing. So I stop here. I think that was quite a lot of input, and I've also reached my time limit. So many thanks for your attention. I'm looking forward to the discussion and the following presentations.
Thank you very much, Andreas. We will see if we have questions. Dear participants, if you have questions, you can write in the chat and we will ask to Andreas. If not, we will take the questions a little bit later after a few presentations or in the end. Well, I don't see questions in the chat. Maybe we can go now to our next presentation. And I will give the floor to Susan Hagen from Nature and Milieu. She is project leader at Nature and Milieu in the Netherlands. Do I pronounce the name of your organization right, Susan?
It's Natuur en Milieu, nature and environment in English.
Yes. Environment, I tried. Yes, so Susan, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I'm gonna share my screen. Hopefully that works. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So, hi everybody. I'm Suzanne Hagen from Natuur en Milieu. So who am I? I'm a project manager at Natuur en Milieu, and that is a Dutch NGO, so a Dutch environmental organization, and I am a biotechnologist as a background. Normally I do this presentation in Dutch, so it's kind of new for me to do it in English, so I hope I can make myself clear. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about our project Watermonsters. But before I start, just a little brief summary about water quality in the Netherlands. So the water quality in the Netherlands is monitored by water boards or water municipalities. And we have 21 water boards in our country. And the Netherlands is a very water-rich country. So there's a lot of water to monitor. And in the Netherlands, we have, well, in Europe, we have the Water Framework Directive, the WFD. And since there are so many waters in the Netherlands, there has been, they have distinguished the waters in two different waters. You have the big waters, the WFD waters, the Water Framework Directive waters, and the so-called other waters. And the other waters are all the small waters in the Netherlands, but they're together, they are 30% of all the water in the Netherlands. And the water boards normally do not really monitor the so-called other waters structurally. So we did a research in 2018 and 19 about the water quality in the Netherlands. And the main conclusion was, first of all, that we are by far not going to reach our targets for the Water Framework Directive. So the water quality is very poor. To be clear, it's 99% of all the waters are pretty bad in the Netherlands. And there was little or no insights in the water quality in these so-called other waters. So after this research and this report, we decided that citizen science might be a good solution for this, which means that we activate our citizens to measure the water quality in these other waters. So we did first a pilot in 2019 and a bigger pilot in 2020. And we asked citizens to measure the water quality in all these small waters around the country on parameters which are related to the Water Framework Directive. And it was about nutrients and ecological status. And around this citizen science project, we built a whole social media campaign of Guppy and the water monsters. You can see it here, the little fish and the water monsters. And it was a pretty big success. So we first started in 2019, we only had one partner. But then in 2020, we had more partners. And this year, even more. So more and more organizations are together collaborating on this beautiful project. So what is our citizen science project about? We ask citizens to order a measurement kit, a water monsters kit. And they can measure the water quality in a water they choose themselves, but we ask them to go to smaller waters like canals or just little rivers or side rivers. And they do the research and they fill in all the answers on the website. You can see here the website. It is in Dutch, but you get an idea. So this is the website and people fill in all the different parameters. And last year, we had 14,800 kits. And in the end, we had 2,600 valid submissions. So we knew now the water quality of all these small waters around the country. And it was, you can see the picture here, it's covered around the whole country. And that was pretty big. And an ecological research institute, which is called NEO, validated also 106 waters for us to validate the parameters. And we did this research together with all these different water boards, because the water boards were our partners in this project as well. So we also had a big communication around it. So this were different social media communications which were used by our partners. So they just asked people like, can you please also measure or monitor the water quality for us? So these are all social media texts. But also it was on the local television and local radio and the newspapers. And we got all these nice reactions from our participants saying that they also measured the water quality. So it was really nice to see that was all buzzing in the Netherlands that people were measuring the water quality and that people really felt like scientists. That was pretty great. So in the end, we wrote a report about it together with the different water boards and our partners. The conclusion was that around 80% of all these waters were of poor or very mediocre water quality. We also gave we shared the results with our participants. They got a personalized message about what the water quality was for them, for their specific water. And we had a press release and a media approach. So we gained a lot of attention to water quality. So why did we do it? First, we want to increase the water awareness among the citizens. A lot of people in the Netherlands think that water quality is really good since our drinking water is very good, but our surface water is not that good at all. Second, we collected a lot of water quality data from a lot of water bodies throughout the country. And we gave all the data to the water boards so they can, this is also working as a signal function. They know which waters are good or aren't, and they use it for their own water management. And we used the report and all the research results for our lobby, because since we're an environmental organization, we do a lot of lobbying. So we also use this as a tool to go to the ministry and put an emphasis on how important it is to pay attention to water quality. So what's next? Well, we want to make this project scientifically more strong. So we want to integrate and synchronize the citizens' data with the official Water Framework Directive monitoring data. So we want to combine everything. We want to put more focus on waters which are really good and have a high biodiversity, so to inspire you and educate the water boards, but also our participants, and put an emphasis on how important it is to take care of the nature and the water. And we want to have an increasing number of partners or participants from the water sector, including all the water boards, but also other organizations. And we want this citizen science project to become bigger and bigger and getting an increasing amount of participants. This year also schools are going to participate, but we want to include scouting and water sports club, primary school and such. So we want to really cover the whole country and reach a lot of people. That was my presentation about our project. Not sure if there are any questions. I couldn't see any faces when I was giving the presentation, so I'm not sure if people understood it, but.
Yeah, very nice. Thank you very much, Susan. It was very, very interesting. And we hope that this kind of project will be spread in all cities in the world, so citizens can participate in the measurement of water quality. Mm-hmm. We have a few questions from the chat. So a question for Susan from Mohamed Arar. He's curious if there is any relationship between sea level rise and water quality, especially in the Netherlands, as we know it is a coastal country.
That's a good question. So the water boards are not only responsible for water quality, but also for water quantity, since indeed we are very, the Netherlands is below sea level. So we're always kind of afraid for the sea. However, the salt water doesn't really reach our fresh water. So the fresh water is all the water coming from Germany and such, and we're polluting it more and more before it goes into the sea. So we don't really have any difficulties yet with salt water. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Susan. Then, just a second, we have another question from Daniel, Daniel Dagnon. I guess the question is for Andreas and for Susan, to both. It would be interesting if it could be reproduced in other countries. What difficulties did you encounter in the realization of this initiative?
So for us, well, actually it was relatively easy to start this project. Also because we have water boards, so we have special organizations responsible for water. So I know in other countries that's more difficult. And citizen science is now more up and coming. The financing is the most difficult part. So for us to find partners who are willing to pay for it, since it's also expensive to organize such a project. But if somebody is interested to start a project like this in his or her own country, you can always contact me and I can give you all the ins and outs about starting this project, since I started from the absolute beginning. So I kind of know what works and doesn't work.
Okay, great. Susan, I think we have another question as well. I'm not sure this question is to you or to Andreas, but if you can answer, it would be great. So it is again from Daniel Dagnon. Does the advent of COVID-19 with all the new waste that goes with it have a global impact on water quality? Maybe you can say us from the Netherlands. Does the fact that we have COVID-19 in the wastewater, does that impact in the to the water quality in the Netherlands and globally?
So I know they of course find some COVID in the surface water, or at least in the sewage, but it's so little that for our project it really didn't matter that much, since it's so low and we have a good sewer system. So we did contact the organization in the Netherlands responsible for all this, if it was safe for people to take water samples, for example, but that was all fine and doesn't really affect the water quality.
Okay, and maybe the last question for Susan, and then we will pass to the questions to Andreas. How do you determine if there are any errors in citizen science results? This question from Syed Nazar Alam.
Good question. So we did the validation by the Ecological Institute to validate the parameters. So we knew which parameters people understood and which were more difficult, and the parameters which people understood very clearly, those were the ones that we used to define the water quality or to make some kind of decision tree. And we also, in the first year, we had 900 submissions. We also checked by hand if we saw some weird answers. Last year, we already had 2,600, but then we can find the easiest errors. But yeah, it's still citizens. So the data is not perfect at all. It's still the water quality measured by normal people. So it's not the quality that when water boards would do the monitoring officially, of course.
Cool. Thank you, Susan.
You're welcome. Thank you for your time.
Yeah. And Andreas, maybe we will start with the question on the impact of COVID-19 to the water quality globally.
Yeah, thanks. Just to add on what Susan has mentioned, I think so. There is no problem in consuming water. So there is no, as far as I know, there is no risk with regards to COVID-19 in water, like the virus itself. But what's actually two things. One is that it's actually really interesting water because in the wastewater, you can now measure the virus load in the wastewater from specific communities, or parts of the community, and with that, they are, especially the European Union is quite a leader in that. They are developing tracking system where you can detect local outbreaks before they are really happening, because the virus is already in the wastewater, and then you can go and find where the outbreak actually is. And this is being done in especially in the Europe, in the EU, but we are also supporting a program in India where we're trying to scaling this up to the national level, that they are very, very keen to do so. So that's quite interesting. Then with regards to the water quality itself, I think, again, from the virus, there is no risk. There seems not to be any risk. But what I can see is we all see that in our environment, all the masks that are, disposed anywhere in the environment. And I think they contain also microfibers and microplastic in the filters, and that again, that ends up in the environment. And there are currently millions of those masks that are being disposed, just anywhere. And I think we don't know anything about that right now and the impacts it has, but I think this will certainly have an impact as well. So how do we deal with the waste that we generate from those millions of masks?
Thank you, Andreas. We'll have another question. It's a long question, but I will just read the first part. Andreas, is there any SDC projects in progress in Brazil?
Yeah, I've read the question. There is not much happening in Brazil. Brazil is, for the time being, not one of our focus countries, and in that sense, the simple answer is no. But still, I can. I can't remember who has asked the question, but you can always reach out to me, and we can have a short discussion. I can also try to link you with different actors that are engaged in this topic. NGOs and such as the WWF and so on, so we can find out who is active in Brazil and how to connect.
Thank you very much, Andreas. So dear participants, you can continue to write your questions in the chat, and our speakers will write you. So to respect the time, we'll pass to the next presentation. And for the next presentation, I will share my screen. I guess it will work. Does it?
Yes, Asmik, it's okay.
Good. Thank you, Catherine. So our next topic in TEM is World Water Quality Alliance. So what is World Water Quality Alliance? This is a voluntary and flexible global network of experts, practitioners and policymakers, public and private actors and civil society with the motivation to assist the global community in addressing key water issues of social, political, and environmental concern. The Alliance was launched in September 2019 by the United Nations Environment Programme, UNEP, and the Joint Research Center of the European Commission, and also supported by the Swiss Confederation. The WWQA brings together a wide range of expertise in fields of water quality science, technology, innovation, governance, and diplomacy to seek solutions to translate science on water quality into action. WWQA consists of various workflows such as thematic commitments, initiatives, and expert groups. And the European Youth Parliament for Water, represented by me, and Joanna Debrescu, representing Wet Skills Foundation. We are like youth, we are taking the lead for youth actions, and we are mainly involved in social engagement platform to support youth-led organizations to create local water forums in their community to address a local water issue. And as you see here in this small graphic, so under WWQA, there are different initiatives. One is social engagement platform, and another one is youth engagement platform. And of course, there are many other initiatives, and some initiatives are also in the process of being confirmed and launched. As youth action on the social engagement platform, we want also to create another work stream. We want to combine youth efforts for world water quality worldwide, highlight youth role and community level impacts. And about this second one, this with light blue youth engagement platform, it will be presented by my colleague Joanna a little bit later. Okay, what is social engagement platform? The Alliance, through its social engagement initiative, promotes transparent multi-stakeholder processes. The objective is to create a mutual trust between all social sectors, leading to broad awareness of global and local water issues, to build local collaboration and co-creation of relevant actions, which will result in progress along a pathway that is wide enough to encompass the needs of all. There exists a need to promote, disseminate, implement global policies regarding water-based issues. This can only be achieved if regional and municipal administrations are involved, and local governments have a unique ability to ensure practicable initiatives and progress based on inclusive co-creation and the local level involving all elements of society. Yes, and the Alliance wants to involve both local governments and all members of civil society, supported by the scientific community in a global initiative. The initial step will be to support actions designed by population, by general public, to increase awareness among them, which will lead to local interested people being given a crucial role in the development and implementation of water quality-based actions. So this is really like a plan for the engagement of the society in the elaboration of solutions to water quality issues. So what is a local water forum? A local water forum is a group of people from your village, town, or city who want to participate in actions which will contribute to solving water-related problems. Local group of interested citizens work together with the municipal administration or or without them, if possible with them, yeah, and to identify local water-based issues, raise awareness concerning the importance of water, and co-create viable solutions. The Local Water Forum is led by an organization. In this case, can be youth organization or other type of organization. It can be also private company, private organization, and everyone is welcome to join to the local forum. Young and old, local councillors, scientists, business people, artists, nature lovers, and citizens who are concerned about the future of the planet and want to do something about it at a local level. So this is like a place to meet together with the members of the local council, local water company, and the representatives of the World Water Quality Alliance. And of course, they will be given an introduction to the water situation in the world and then asked about local water issues. And then they will create an idea for a local water problem related to quality. And in every case, this is different because it depends what is the challenge in that city or in that town. And then the idea will be refined, and then the community will vote for the solutions, and finally they will make the plan a reality. So why to be involved? When you will involve, you will join a worldwide network and a truly global initiative based on a shared vision for future sustainability. You will obtain a more integrated, inclusive picture of the causes and effects of water quality issues. Ensure that a well-meaning solution does not harm the interest of others, making the original problem worse. So you will see that. Promote new local policies with an inclusive decision-making process of cooperation that will increase local support for solutions and measures. Address local issues, but with international technical support from both scientists and other similar groups from around the world. Receive international publicity of your progress, and of course, open a broader potential for financial support. Next steps. If you want to be the leader in creating a local water forum with social engagement platform and addressing a local water issue, just direct contact us and we will guide you. We are looking for local governments and interest groups who, with the full support of the WWQA social engagement team, want to take a role in the global issue of water quality. You would be assisted in creating a local water forum, that's for sure, and you will be invited to report your activities on a regular basis and participate in virtual meetings in order to meet other groups from around the world. With your participation, you will be making a real difference in meeting one of the principal challenges of the 21st century. And yeah, for follow-up, there is a link here that I will copy and put in the chat. Just fill in the form, and the head of the platform, Richard Ellerman, will contact you, or the another active member of the platform, Vanjiku. They will contact you and will communicate with you the upcoming steps regarding the organization. Yeah, thank you. And if you have questions, yeah, I will answer with pleasure. And I think my colleagues as well will add if they have something. We have questions. I will check the chat. Well, maybe we can pass to the next presentation. It's also related to World Water Quality Alliance, but the other initiative that we want to launch, it is on Youth Engagement Initiative. And to present it, I give the floor to Ioana Dobrescu from Wet Skills Foundation. So Ioana, the floor is yours. And after the presentation of Ioana, we'll see if there are questions, so we'll take and answer.
Thank you, Hasmik. Just a second till I get the technical stuff in order. So you can see my presentation full screen, I hope. Well, hi everyone. I hope you still have some energy to listen to a couple of more presentations. Mine and my work has been made easier by Andreas and by Hasmik. Hasmik has already introduced the World Water Quality Alliance, what it is, what its scope is as well. And Andreas has mentioned the UN Water Quality Report of 2016, and he started by mentioning some of the key findings of that report. And I'm quite happy that, well, one of the key findings was sort of left on the side, and I can mention it. So another key finding of that report was the fact that the poor water quality worldwide mostly affects the poor, women, and children. And it is this last category of children and youth that inherit both the consequences of poor water quality, but also the challenges to come up with solutions to the situation. If we look at the situation worldwide in terms of effects of water quality on youth, it's not just a health problem, but it's also an economic problem. So for example, we know that about 11% of the youth workforce in the OECD countries alone is unemployed. So that means youth between 18 and 24-year-olds. In specific countries such as Greece and Spain, that's between 30 and 40% of the youth workforce that is unemployed currently. At the same time, in countries like the US alone, about 50% of the workforce in the utility sectors has reached retirement age in the last year, with very few qualified replacements. So if we look at the impact on children's health, on youth unemployment, on the aging workforce, and the lack of interest in jobs in the water sector, we see a need for youth action on youth and led by the youth, so that we step up and be part of the decision making and the creation of solutions. And this is why we came up with the proposal for a new platform for youth engagement under the World Water Quality Alliance. But in the previous two pictures that you've seen very two different categories of youth, both in terms of age and in terms of economic, cultural, and geographical background. So what do we refer to when we speak about youth? First, we've made a sort of division based on age. So we have separated between the categories of primary, secondary, and high school young people, and between those of students, early career, and young leaders. And what we propose within this new engagement platform is to work with the second category, so with the students, early career, and young leaders, where we believe the highest potential for creativity, drive, and enthusiasm exists, but to work on activities that also have an impact on the previous categories, so on the primary, secondary, and high school young people, where change happens easier through early education, but also on activities that contribute to the decision making by the senior decision makers of today. So what do we propose in this new platform of youth engagement for world water quality? Well, first, we've established three different objectives. The first one is to convene and catalyze the youth capacity to drive change. The second one is to make water an attractive topic for youth to study and to work in. And the third is to create direct impact on water quality. Now, under our first objective, we believe that youth should step up and create its own vision on what needs to be done to achieve a better water quality worldwide and to create a future that we want as youth to live in the future. And we want to achieve that by asking different youth networks, different youth organizations, and just different young people across the world to come up with narratives for valuing water that jointly we will process into one theory of change, so into this one vision created by the youth on what steps we need to take to ensure a better water quality worldwide. On the second objective of making water an attractive topic for youth to study and to work in, we plan to work, as I said, with the students, with the young leaders to design youth for youth actions, meaning that we want to design campaigns for raising awareness, for education in schools, and to have these campaigns designed by young people in such a way that the materials and the information that's being transmitted to primary, secondary, and even high school youth is much more attractive than what they currently have on their curricula. And to disseminate those sort of materials and information via social media. And my favorite aspect is the World Water Festival. So ideally, within a couple of years, we would have the opportunity to organize a World Water Festival, which is basically like a conference, but fun. And on the third objective of creating impact on water quality more directly, so to say, here what we mean is direct collaboration with the other work streams of the World Water Quality Alliance. So as Hasmik has already mentioned, there are several work streams already taking place, and there will be new work streams added and kicked off every year, I believe. And we want to have youth and different youth organizations participating and co-creating projects and solutions within these work streams. And at the same time, any initiative that the youth organizations participating in our engagement platform would like to take, such as what was presented before by Susanna, if I remember correctly, like citizen science, any such initiatives are welcome to be developed as well in this new engagement platform. Well, in terms of time frame and our roadmap, the proposal, in fact, is still on the well, in the approval phases, but we're very confident it will be approved and we will be able to kick off quite soon. So we're hoping that already in the coming months we'll be able to announce and to proceed to form the core group of youth organizations that will work on these activities and on this initiative, and then take this year, 2021, to continue to consolidate our core group and well, the network, the wider network that will be supporting this initiative, and also start on the narratives and the theory of change, and hopefully even come up with the proposal for the Youth Festival, World Water Festival, by the end of the year. Well, on actually on my last slide here, we've already listed some of the partners and supporters of this initiative. So of course, we've got our advisory partners such as SDC and UNEP, but we've also already reached out and discussed and presented this initiative to some of the youth organizations, and we have received initial expression of interest, for example, from the International Secretariat of Water, from the Water Youth Network, from the Central Asian Youth for Water. And we also want to put out a call to those who are participants here today, even though I'm not sure who that is exactly, but if there are any other youth organizations that do not see themselves represented here and that would like to find out more and maybe even get involved, please reach out to us. You have both my contact details and Hasmik's contact details over here. And I would really love to hear your ideas, your first impressions on, well, what I've just presented. And that's it from my side.
Thank you very much, Joanna. Maybe we can quickly answer to the question and then pass to the next presentation. This is a question for everyone from Jean. Thanks for this very interesting presentations. Do you have tips to raise youth awareness, especially by using games? I think this question is for all the speakers. If any of you want to answer.
Well, I can start since I was the last one to end. I know there's been quite some initiatives lately of using serious gaming to involve not just youth, but also the adults in a more playful manner in serious issues. I'm not sure if this is you know, a good solution, if it works. I think most of the times I see these initiatives either in conferences or in related to different events, but I don't hear much afterwards. I don't really meet people going like, oh, you know, I've been spending hours behind my computer playing that serious game. I really cannot get over it, you know. I mean, if you ever played computer games like, I don't know, StarCraft, Age of Empires, you'll know that a game can become addictive. So I think we still have some way to go before we can develop a game that really engages youth and that really manages to get the message across in a more fun and engaging way. But that's just my 2 cents.
Juliana, from my side, I've heard that the European Youth Forum for Water with the Country Water Partnership Armenia, we have initiated a role-playing game for the youth of Kura Arax River Basin. So we hope that in the near future we will launch the game, this role-playing game with different roles of stakeholders. So the youth of this basin from different countries of the basin can enter into the role of the other side. Of the other country, citizens of the other country, and also in the role of other stakeholder. So yeah, I will be short on that, as we don't have a lot of time, and without losing a second, I will invite to Fujeha Bekele, lecturer and researcher from Hawassa University, Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, to present his story related to water quality, what they do in Ethiopia. And yeah, Hisham, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. Can you see? Can you see my slide? I have to share it.
No, not yet.
I have to share it. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. This is Fissa from Ethiopia, and personally, I am a researcher at a university, local university, and what we do regarding water quality and generally water issue, I will present in a short period of time. And our organization is not normally NGO, but it's governmental organization, but we have some kind of a community service work. We identify some problems in the community and provide solutions. And what we did was on water quality. And I will just tell you a small thing we have done in the past. So what was the problem? The problem is pollution of a lake, freshwater ecosystem, lake freshwater ecosystem, and there was a small. There is also a little problem of eutrophication, and we had sources of the problems, and the sources are mainly name point source and point source pollution problems. And the lake is Lake Hawassa, which is located in one of the biggest cities of the country. And this lake is located near several industries in the city, and we have point source pollution issues, normally from industrial parks, which are normally textile and garment products. And we have also plastic, ceramics, and food processing industries around this lake. So I will just try to give you some description about this lake. The lake is freshwater ecosystem, and it has normally two catchments, the western and eastern catchment. In the western catchment, it's only about sediment issues, and a lot of organizations are working on soil and water conservation measures, so there's no problem in the western catchment. But the eastern catchment, where we are working, and there's pollution problem at one of the rivers, which is normally, there are a lot of tributaries, but all the tributaries have to come together at one point, which is one river, which is named Ruha, and it is the main outlet where the water enters the lake. So this is where we have the issue of pollution, and this lake itself is used for fishery, navigation, tourism, and other purposes. Okay, I will show what we have done later. So what is the major work we did in this lake? We implemented wetland water treatment. Normally, we identified the river outlet as a wetland treatment. I mean the outlet of the river which joins the lake as a wetland treatment site. Then we created a riparian buffer zone, okay, to treat the water before it enters the lake. And we used the existing natural waterway, okay, at the end of the outlet and its surrounding to create a surface flow wetland. So what we did is just we used the existing waterway and created some kind of buffer zone. And we added some kind of impervious silty soils, okay, to keep some kind of, to at least slow the movement of water before it joins the lake. And we use some kind of existing grasses and plants, which are normally used for water quality treatment at this site. So we did not bring new plants or grasses, but we just used the existing ones to treat some kind of pollution. So in this wetland, water moves slowly in the horizontal pattern through the vegetation and topsoil, removing some kind of contaminants before it drains to the lake. And eventually I have published a paper last year on internationally reputable journal, and we come to see that some of water parameters have come to optimum level. Like we tried to improve, we improved already the total suspended solids, electrical conductivity, TDS, turbidity, some kind of organic pollutants like phosphate, nitrate, ammonia levels have already been optimized because of this wetland treatment. And the nuisance algal blooms, which are normally seen at the edges of the lake, significantly reduced. So this is what we have done. I can show you that this is the river outlet, the wetland we have tried to work on. This one is here. We have the lake here, and this is the riparian zone we created. The river comes from this side and joins this lake here. And you can see some kind of algal blooms, which we tried to save before it enters the lake here. Okay, we used those grass and wetland treatment system. So we saved a lot of algal blooms and other so many organic nutrients here you can see, and before it joins the lake. So this is the wetland area, and we have some kind of plants which naturally exist there, and they are also helping this wetland treatment. You can see them here. So I want to use the last opportunity to to present what we aim in the future, our aim is now not in this lake. Normally, we shift our focus to some bigger problem in this surrounding. So we have the problem which is near to this our organization. The problem is water accessibility and quality again, where the area is also in Sidama region, which is in Ethiopia. It's at the southeastern part of the country. So what are our issues now in this area? The issue is water access, as I did say, quality and gender too. There is no tap water source only streams in this village. We have also household water supply burden normally on women, and I will share the picture later. So in this area, the women travel a lot of kilometers, averagely 10 kilometers a day to collect dirty water from streams. The water quality in the area we saw is unfit for household purposes normally, and there is also absence of sanitation and cultural taboos which can affect women, and there is also social disruption which are related to water quality and quantity in this area. There is extreme hardship life for women as they are absent from schools carrying water, and indignity of open defecation and lack of sanitation generally is what we have identified as a problem. So you can see from this picture, a lot of women in Ethiopia carrying these jerry cans and like fetching water, which is very dirty, you can see from the picture, and because of several pollution, and they don't have access to even quality water and sanitation. So what are the planned interventions and the challenges we expect? The planned intervention is we want to provide sustainable water in the shortest possible distance for these women. And the first one, we want to provide public taps by pumping groundwater using sustainable energy sources like solar panels. So the groundwater in the area is easily accessible, and the groundwater does not need much treatment because it's not exposed to to pollution like surface water. So that's what we aim. And the second aim is to provide water that is very fit for human use. And thirdly, we want to engage women. So we want to make them owners of these small water solution projects in the future. And this is our aim. So the challenge is our organization is governmental organization. We have a lot of other activities. So there's like a financial problem to implement our project, and we have also some kind of material assistance we need and technical assistance too. That's our challenge, and any support from anybody. We welcome any NGOs or individuals or any funding organizations or any other water interested bodies to support our planned intervention. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Fisa. It was very, very interesting, and to know what's happening in Ethiopia from the other side of the world. So I see we have a question, but actually we have on time, and the dedicated time for our session is almost over. So I will check the question to see if we can take it quickly. Or does the construction of Renaissance Dam have influence on the water supply of the lakes? Is the question from Stas Peters. Stas, well, thank you for the question. It's a very interesting question. If I can answer quickly now in 2-3 words.
Okay. Can you please tell me the question again?
The construction of the Renaissance Dam in Ethiopia have influence on the water supply of the lakes? Just shortly.
No, because the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam is being built on Nile River, and most of its water supply comes from a lot of tributaries and lakes, and it has no any connection with water supply of the lakes. I mean in Ethiopia, inside Ethiopia.
And outside Ethiopia, Egypt and Sudan?
Outside Ethiopia, the case is becoming a more geopolitical issue. I should not be making political statements here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Fisha. Thank you. We understood your point. Stas, just I invite you to check the Voices of Nile project that we recently posted also on the Parliament social media platforms. So they do a lot of work related to the Renaissance Dam to discover the point of view of different nations and different countries. So you will certainly find the answer there. And in the end, I would like to thank all the speakers for their insightful presentations. Also to participants for your attention, for your time and interesting questions. And yeah, and I invite you to follow up with the speakers that you have more questions to answer, or you want to be engaged. So just feel free to contact them. And yeah, and I wish you all a good afternoon or evening or day. Yeah, so bye. If someone wants to say something.
Thank you, Vasmi. Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.